Shalom, family. This is Brother Eli, and I want to thank you for joining me in this discussion of the Ten Commandments. In this episode, we'll be exploring the third commandment, and we'll get into that after a quick word from our sponsor. This message is brought to you by 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15, reminding you to study the word for yourself and never blindly trust any teacher, street preacher, or YouTube video without confirmation through the word. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's start the discussion with a reading of the third commandment found in Exodus chapter 20 in verse 7. Thou shalt not take the name of Yah thy Elohim in vain, for Yah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. So how can the third commandment be interpreted? What does it mean? Well, like the other commandments we've studied thus far, there are layers to be peeled back here. So let's start with the most obvious layer: blasphemy. The simple English definition of blasphemy is the act of insulting or showing contempt or lack of reverence for Elohim. Now let's look at an example of this in Torah and draw out a bit more understanding from the Hebrew word associated with blasphemy. Leviticus chapter 24 verses 10 through 16. And the son of an Israelitish woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel. And this son of the Israelitish woman and the man of Israel strove together in the camp. And the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of Yah and cursed. And they brought him unto Moses, and his mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan. And they put him in ward, that the mind of Yah might be showed them. And Yah spake unto Moses, saying, Bring forth him that hath cursed without the camp, and let all that heard him lay their hands upon his head, and let all the congregation stone him. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, Whosoever curseth his Elohim shall bear his sin. And he that blasphemeth the name of Yah shall surely be put to death. And all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well as the stranger, as he that is born in the land, when he blasphemeth the name of Yah, shall be put to death. Now, normally we'd address the penalty for the transgression of the commandment later on in the discussion. However, in this instance, it's appropriate to take a moment to address the proverbial elephant in the room introduced by the reading of this passage. If you disrespected Yah directly through blasphemy, that was a brick shower. Like, do not pass go, do not collect $200, full stop. Now, having addressed that piece, I'd like to look into the Hebrew word used to describe this blasphemous incident. The Hebrew word used in verse 11 describing the young man's blasphemy is nakab. This word means literally to pierce or to bore with holes. Now, in the context of blasphemy, the idea behind the use of the word nakab is that it's a deliberate attack on the very name of Yah, an attempt to punch holes into his name. Needless to say, such an act against the Most High is regarded as the highest of offenses. Let's move on to a less obvious aspect of this commandment as we consider the nation of Israel, the people who are called by Yah's name. First, we need to establish the depth of what the word name means to the Hebraic mind. The Hebrew word for the word name is Shem, which means so much more than simply the label by which someone is addressed. The concept of name, or Shem, is about reputation, character, or fame. See, when Yah entered into covenant with his people at Mount Sinai, he put his reputation on the line by adopting us as his people. He literally called us by his name. Let's confirm that in the scriptures. Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And Yah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yah bless thee and keep thee. Yah make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yah lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. According to this passage from the book of Numbers, the Levites blessed our ancestors and put the indelible name of the Creator upon us. And in that moment, we became his witnesses. There is profound significance to this status. When the children of Israel lead lives in violation of Torah, especially in the practice of idolatry, we bring the name of Yah into ill repute. In other words, we take his name upon us in vain, a form of blasphemy. Let's confirm that with a reading found in the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 20, verses 27 through 32. Therefore, Son of man, speak unto the house of Israel, and say unto them, Thus saith Yah Elohim, Yet in this your fathers have blasphemed me, in that they have committed a trespass against me. For when I had brought them into the land, for which I lifted up mine hand to give it to them, then they saw every high hill and all the thick trees, and they offered there their sacrifices, and there they presented the provocation of their offering. There also they made their sweet savor and poured out there their drink offerings. And I said to them, What is the high place whereunto ye go? And the name whereof is called Bamah, or high place, unto this day. Wherefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith Yah Elohim, Are ye polluted after the manner of your fathers? And commit ye whoredom after their abominations? For when ye offer your gifts, when ye make your sons to pass through the fire, ye pollute yourselves with all your idols even unto this day. And shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel? As I live, saith Yah Elohim, I will not be inquired of by you. And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all, that ye say, We will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries, to serve wood and stone. According to verse 27 of this chapter, the children of Israel blaspheme Yah when we lead lives of transgression against him, particularly in the worship of other gods. When Yah raises his hand against his people, he is defending his name, his Shem, his reputation. Yah takes his reputation very seriously. Let's hear more from the book of Ezekiel on this matter. Ezekiel chapter 36, verses 17 through 23. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries according to their way, and according to their doings I judged them. And when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name, when they said to them, These are the people of Yah, and are gone forth out of his land. But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith Yah Elohim, I do not do this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yah, saith Yah Elohim, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. Yah redeems his people not for our sake, but for the sake of his name. Ultimately, this is what Israel's cycle of transgression and redemption is about. Yah's great name. So let's consider another form of taking the name of Yah in vain, and that's making a false vow. How many times have you seen the phrase, as Yah liveth, precede a declaration by someone in the scriptures? Well, this is a vow before Yah, and it happens countless times in the Word. It is emblematic of a culture that had the understanding that Yah will avenge a false vow made in his name. Let's read about that. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verses 21 through 23. When thou shalt vow a vow unto Yah thy Elohim, thou shalt not slack to pay it, for Yah thy Elohim will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in thee. That which is gone out of thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform, even a free will offering, according as thou hast vowed unto Yah thy Elohim, which thou hast promised with thy mouth. If you make a vow to Yah or in the name of Yah, you keep it. It would be better to avoid making a vow before Yah than to make one and fail to fulfill it. Making vows was considered so serious within the culture that Messiah issued a specific warning against it. Matthew chapter 5, verses 33 through 37. Again, ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old time, Thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto Yah thine oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is Elohim's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. But let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. For whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. According to Messiah, we should not make elaborate vows in the name of Yah. Rather, we should build a reputation such that people are able to take us at our word, rather than us endangering ourselves by invoking Yah's name. End of story. Having discussed the meaning of the commandment and having explored its nuances, let's revisit the penalties for transgression before we wrap up our discussion. If you directly blaspheme the name of Yah in antiquity, it resulted in a direct stoning. Friendly reminder, in our current dispensation, we do not enact the scriptural penalties for the transgression of the law. That judgment is given to Messiah. Another penalty. The children of Israel who are called by Yah's name bear a unique burden when they choose to live a life of iniquity. Because we are born into the covenant, the curses of Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26 are unleashed upon us by Yah in his zeal to defend his name. This is our burden as his servants. It's strongly advised that the children of Israel choose obedience instead. Finally, while the scriptures do not clearly identify a punishment for making a false vow in Yah's name, I wouldn't recommend it. Let's have a quick chat about Ananias and Sapphira. See, after the resurrection of Messiah, the early church was one that practiced communal economics. The people sold all of their possessions and left the entirety of the proceeds with the apostles for distribution to those who had need. Except for one man and his wife. Let's read about what happened to them. Acts chapter 5. We'll be reading verses 1 through 11. But a certain man named Ananias with Sapphira his wife, sold a possession and kept back part of the price, his wife also being privy to it, and brought a certain part and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter said, Ananias, why hath Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Ruach HaKodesh and to keep back part of the price of the land? While it remained, was it not thine own? And after it was sold, was it not in thine own power? Why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto Elohim. And Ananias, hearing these words, fell down and gave up the ghost. And great fear came on all them that heard these things. And the young men arose, wound him up, and carried him out and buried him. And it was about the space of 3 hours after when his wife, not knowing what was done, came in. And Peter answered unto her, Tell me whether ye sold the land for so much. And she said, Yeah, for so much. Then Peter said unto her, How is it that you have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of Yah? Behold, the feet of them which have buried thy husband are at the door, and shall carry thee out. Then fell she down straightway at his feet, and yielded up the ghost. And the young men came in and found her dead, and carrying her forth, buried her by her husband. And great fear came upon all the church, and upon as many as heard these things. Did Ananias and Sapphira officially make a vow to Yah to distribute their possessions? Scripture doesn't indicate that. However, it is clear that they attempted to cheat Yah, and they made an enemy of him. This is what we risk when we fail to fulfill a vow that we make in his name. It's better to obey Messiah and avoid making such vows to begin with. As we can see from the example of Ananias and Sapphira, it's exceptionally dangerous, even if that vow is merely implicit, such as theirs appears to be. So what's the conclusion of the matter? Taking the name of Yah in vain has numerous forms: direct blasphemy by cursing his name, indirect blasphemy by claiming association with him while violating his commandments, and finally, the violation of a vow made in his name. According to Proverbs chapter 9 and verse 10, the fear of Yah is the beginning of wisdom. We should fear his name, as Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 58 advises us to, and we should live according to every word that proceeds forth from the mouth of Yah, which he has elevated even above his own name, according to the book of Psalms. And that's it. I thank you for joining me in this discussion of the third commandment, and I give all praises to the Most High Yah, and great honor and glory to his only begotten Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. If this video has been a blessing to you, please share it with someone to whom it will also be a blessing. I appreciate your time, family, and I'll see you next video. Shalom.